Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. Betty, we're overlooking the beautiful city of...
I don't know. No, I'm teasing, of course. What is the beautiful city of Edinburgh?
Yes, isn't it? It's gorgeous.
Edinburgh.
And here we are up at Edinburgh Castle, which we took a tour through, of course, last time. But, you know, there's so much to see up here. Let's listen to our guide explain something.
The largest cannon in Europe is up there beside St Margaret's Chapel. It was given as a gift to James II, who had a fatal fascination for cannons. He got too close to one at the siege of Roxburgh. The cannon blew up and blew off his leg and he bled to death. Before you feel sorry for him, at a dinner at Stirling Castle, he took a dislike to a member of the famous Douglas family, stabbed him to death and pushed him out of a window. So the old saying, what goes round comes round. That's the 12th century chapel to St Margaret, created by her son King David I, who was such a pious king. He nearly bankrupted the Scottish crown because he had all the abbeys built along the Scottish border. It was his way of showing the English how powerful a king he had become. Later she was canonised, and anyone can now get married there. You don't have to have a military connection. So every Saturday you'll have weddings and christenings there. And if you're the bride's family, you're lucky. You can only get 26 at the ceremony. But it's not the ceremony that runs away with it, it's the reception afterwards. And I've been across weddings where I've been in America and Canada, and you've got the groom's dinner the night before, the rehearsal dinner, and it's tough going, you know.
Well, it's true. The receptions for weddings often cost much more than the ceremony does.
Hey, that hasn't changed.
I know. No, that's very true. It hasn't. We're going to squeeze our way now and get into the main courtyard here at the highest point of the castle. And we're going to go from here. Unfortunately, you cannot photograph inside to see the crown jewels, which are in that building directly ahead of us that we see right here. You look right up to it. And, you know, Betty, since we had been there 10 years ago, they had really done a masterful job now of displaying the crown jewels and also giving the history of Scotland through. I'm sorry that we can't show you that, but they won't let us take pictures inside.
Tell me about the crown jewels. Now, are they taken out and for different royal seminaries, ceremonies, and are they worn?
The ones in England are, but not the ones in Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Queen would use those down there. In fact, it's so interesting, and we can talk about that later show when we get down to London. But that's actually, you walk through a vault because it's all displayed in a vault, and boy, those doors are like about 5 feet thick. Anyway, this is one of the buildings that we were able to go ahead and show you the inside of. This is a great reception hall here up at the castle in Edinburgh. And we can see that there is a lot of armor here on the walls. Beautiful colors, isn't it, Betty?
I love that color. I really do. And it just, instead of darkening it like you think it might because of the color of it, it just brightens it. I just think it's
very
beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry that this was the only inside shots that we were able to get, but if you want to see it, you just have to come along the next time that we go. But you can see here that the city of Edinburgh is not tremendously large. I mean, it's a big enough city, but you can see that there's water up here, and we're going to go up there in just a little bit because we're going to get on something that I've just was thrilled with, and that is, of course, we're going to get on a ship.
It's interesting to look at the spires. In the overall,
see the churches and the
panorama.
things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's beautiful. And of course, this park that follows along Queen Street right there that we can see, one of the main streets. And off to our left a little bit, we can't see it from here, but there's also a cemetery. And Betty, that cemetery is right in the middle of town.
That's very appropriate. It's in the dead center of town.
That's true, it is. There you can see the cannon that is shot off at 1 o'clock. And if you don't expect that, you get a little bit of a jolt just from the sound. Well, I'll tell you, that was a great thing having our own private concert. But now we're also going to have our little, well, I wouldn't say it's a private tour, but almost, of the Royal Yacht Britannia.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you like that bagpipe music?
Oh, yeah, I think it's great.
Do you?
Well, a certain amount of it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I don't think I could sit there all day long and listen to it, but yeah.
Because I know I love it in parades, and it's very poignant, like at a cemetery
Funeral or
when somebody's
something, right.
died like that. But it's awful scratchy to me, after a bit.
Oh, well, you
But
just
it
love
does-
rock and roll, I know.
No, I don't like that. But it can be very sentimental.
Oh, yeah. No, and of course, that's, we associate that with Scotland, of course. But now we have moved on to the Royal Yacht, which has now been, this is bigger than a yacht. I mean, this is really a ship. It is absolutely huge. See there, Betty, you want some rum? There.
Oh, no,
Well, that's how
I
they
don't think
pump the
so.
rum
But,
ration out
hey,
for you.
But
there.
I like the way they clean their pipes. I wish my copper bottom pots at home looked like that.
I
Wow.
have never in my life seen polished copper like I have on this ship. It was incredible. The also the what I want to call it. Oh, the engine room was magnificent. It's just so much copper. It was beautiful. Anyway, if you want to be entertained, of course, on the ship here, you can be.
Oh,
You
look at that, huh?
That's a table, and it will serve 96. This is the Queen's private stateroom. And this is her husband's private stateroom, as we can see here. And this is just sort of a little sunning room right out here. Anyway, what I was going to say, that if you would like to, you can rent out portions of the Britannia, and they will put on beautiful dinners for you: ice carvings, caviar, your private tour, dinner with butler service, place cards with your names on them, entertainment. In fact, if you want real entertainment to end your evening, they'll even do a fireworks show for you.
Why didn't we do that for our people when we were there?
We ain't got that kind of bucks.
You.
No, it's a lot of.
I know it's.
A lot of big firms will do this to entertain their guests, and that's wonderful, because this means that money is coming in to keep the Britannia here all the time, and they're working on the ship all the time. We're in the, as you can see, we're right here. Where I would like to stand if we could take the ship.
Oh, right. Is that the bow of the ship?
No, the bow. You just took a look at it right there. You just.
The front part is the bow, though, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's it.
Where you bow down as you're going through whatever you're going through.
Never heard of it expressed that way before, but yeah, I guess so. I guess you could do that.
Yeah.
This is the flag locker, and we'll see some more flags flying a little bit later on. Anyway, this is the 83rd in a long line of royal yachts. It stretches way back to the year 1660 and the reign of Charles II. So the Britannia holds a proud place in British maritime history.
Them what has are them what gets.
Well, she's one of the richest women in
Yes,
the world.
I knew that.
But they've decommissioned this now, and so it's sitting here, and it's so wonderful that it's here in Scotland, so that people can go through this, visit it, and we saw people from all over the world that were going through. And you do have a self-guided tour. You have one of those little audio phone things that you hold up to your ear. Betty, take a look around this corner. In the glass right here, this is what you'd like to have. A beautiful black Rolls Royce.
Would I?
Wouldn't you?
Speak for yourself.
Well, and look what's inside, your own
Now
private
that
bar. How
this
about
is
that?
fine to have the nice private bar because you have a designated driver. So you're all
true.
taken care of. If they want to drink, then they don't have to worry about any kind of an accident.
Absolutely true. The breadth of the ship is about 55
We were talking
feet.
about drinking on there.
So
Now
I
you're
got
talking
you the
about breath.
Right, yeah. And anyway, the overall length of the ship is 412 feet and 3 inches. So that shows you how big it is. It was first came out of the docks in June of 1952. And this is your
Isn't
little
that a
runaround.
beauty? Isn't that a
gorgeous?
beauty? Yeah.
Now that still works. So
Okay.
where the ship is, tied up permanently docked there, this could go out and you could run around in that. So
I guess you would take your VIPs out in that for like going around the waterways to see the landscapes from the water to the.
possibly, I don't know. It does belong well, it did belong to the Queen. I imagine, though, now that they had turned that over, of course, to one of the historical societies there in Scotland.
Beautiful.
It is gorgeous. The woods on that are just absolutely incredible.
What is that? Was that a dolphin? What? No. What
You mean
was
there?
that? Right there.
Yeah, I think
Is
maybe
that-
it might be. I don't know. It's
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
not a dolphin.
No, it's not.
Dolphin
It
doesn't
kinda-
have scales. like that.
Actually, it kind of looks like a dragon fish or something.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
some artistic
I
design.
thought you would know that.
Not really. They
Shame.
have a lot of work, though, to be done on that ship, as we can see. They continually work on that. And there are beautiful displays as you go into the ship. You go on each deck, and then you come out, and then you go either down or up. And as you do that, there are more displays on the staircases that you have to come out and leave one area and then go into another area. It's very, very well done, and it is worth your while. So if you were in Edinburgh, make sure that you take a visit up here to see this wonderful, wonderful yacht.
I don't
That was the
believe it
Queen's.
was there when we were
No,
our
it wasn't
trip
before.
No,
No, but this was a magnificent thing to see, and for anybody that likes ships and likes the royalty, that's something to experience. Now we're downtown again in Edinburgh, and this is what we see now more and more in Europe. These hop on and hop off. You buy a ticket, and there's somebody explaining sort of a guide on the bus, or maybe it's on a audio tape, whatever, sometimes in several different languages. And it's great because you can hop on, hop off, spend your
right.
time, just
pay
have
one,
a wonderful
pay
time.
a fee for the ticket, and then if you think when you get off to see something, oh gosh, this is awful, and you can go leave it and go on to something else. But I don't think that's just Edinburgh. I think
Oh, no,
they
it's
have
all
it
over
in
now.
England,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
and they have it in Paris. And
Right. You're seeing it all over the place, and it's really wonderful. And usually the prices are very reasonable as well. Very reasonable. Now, this church that we can see, and we were talking about this dead center
Yeah, the
downtown,
dead center of town.
has a humongous cemetery or churchyard, I guess that we should say.
Isn't that a Celtic cross that we're
It
looking
sure is.
at?
And there's an awful lot of people that are buried here. It was interesting that our guide, who played the bagpipes, who we saw just a few moments ago, guaranteed us, "You would not catch me," he said, "walking through this place after dark."
And why, sir, would you not walk there after dark?
Because you might trip over a tombstone and break your leg.
Oh, I thought you were going to have something about it when every so often one of the bodies arise from the grave and come to
Not
get
until
you.
not till the resurrection.
Not till- okay, all
and we
right.
don't know when that's going to come. So.
Okay.
But anyway, you have a wonderful time here just walking through. And we did, several of us decided, hey, we want to just go and explore this, because after he said that, it sort of intrigued us. Okay, well, let's go take a look down here. So it was very nice. It
I
was
think
very nice,
that
very
this
quiet.
is one of the things that we always do when we come to a place, go to the cemetery. It's so much fun to read the life story, as you see, and how they died and how long ago they died. Really, really historical. I've always been intrigued
is
by
interesting.
cemeteries.
And it's nice that they keep these up. Of course, some of the stones do deteriorate with age, but that just happens. And look at here, fuchsias growing in the
Yeah,
cemetery.
isn't that something?
That is pretty, I'll tell you. Really nice. Anyway, this from here you can look right on up and see the castle as we're doing right now. So
They're working again on it,
Oh,
huh?
yeah. I think that's going to be a never-ending thing, Betty. And it's wonderful that they do that because they're keeping it up. There are lots and lots of castles all throughout Scotland that you can visit. And, of course, throughout all of the British Isles. But they're not all, kept up like, of course, this one is here.
Now this is social hour.
Oh, yes.
This is
yeah.
visiting
Well, we had
hour,
a great,
reminiscing about what you did during the
right,
day.
had a great day of touring. And we had a, fabulous dinner. I have to say, on this trip, see, Ben agrees with me. Yeah, he just thinks
He's laughing at you.
I think so. Anyway, it was really, really wonderful. And I just enjoyed Edinburgh so much. And this time, I think we saw a little bit more than we did the last time that we were there. And there's even more to discover. This is a city that has lots and lots of festivals, whether it be film festivals, theater festivals, art festivals, whatever. They have things going all the time. For a
Don't you
city
like-
its size, it's absolutely amazing.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's so lovely to have the music in the background while you're eating. It's, I just think that's classy and romantic, and
Very
the whole
nice.
works.
Well,
Yeah.
you see again what our menu was, and you have those things that you would like to order.
Now this is unusual. We don't
Absolutely
always
wonderful.
get this on trips, So sometimes you get this kind
Sometimes
of
you do,
menu,
sometimes
and
you don't,
sometimes
yeah.
you get
And
what they serve.
We
but-
did on this. We
but
did on
this
this
was
trip.
an
It was
exceptional
wonderful.
trip,
And
yes.
I think we had lots of fun with the servers there too. I think that they enjoyed it. People were joking and having a wonderful time with that. Does it make you hungry?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Uh-huh.
it does. And I love to be served like that, though. I just think that is so neat.
It beats going up and doing
To
it
the buffet?
buffet style, doesn't it?
Yes,
It certainly does. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
No,
But
we had
the food was excellent.
the food was excellent.
And plentiful.
Right. See, they were having a great time serving us at the
Being
tables. They were really
entertained, huh?
nice. And this was right across the street from our hotel. This wonderful gallery it's an art gallery that is. In fact, it's the Gallery of Modern Art, which was right across the street from our hotel. But it's time for us to leave now because we were going to wend our way back down through the main streets, and there are lots of statuaries that you can see as you drive through these main streets. I mean,
Excuse
lots
me.
of them. Yeah,
What are we going to do?
we're going to wend our way.
Okay.
Okay. Is that
I
okay?
thought that's what you said, but
Yeah,
I thought,
that's what I
my goodness, isn't he getting poetic?
Anyway, well, yeah, because the place where we're going to wind up in just a little bit is one of the world's most famous poets' homes at Abbotsford, and we'll be down there in a little bit. But anyway, we're heading on down the road now, and pretty soon we will cross the border, and that is after we leave Abbotsford. We'll cross the border. In fact, we're at Abbotsford right now. Now, Betty, who lived here?
Sir Walter Scott.
Yes.
So everybody knows. I don't care whether you're a student or a scholar or what. Everybody really knows Walter Scott. And then when I was doing a little bit of a background on him, just so I'd have some information on this, I was so intrigued with the fact that I knew he wrote The Lady of the Lake because I had to learn that when I was we had to memorize that when I was in high school. And now they took that Lady of the Lake and they put it to music, and it's now Hail to the Chief. And it's a march traditionally played to honor the President of the United States. It's so wonderful. I know you would recognize it. And it's, soldier, rest, thy warfare's over. Sleep the sleep that knows not breaking. Dream of battled fields no more. Days of danger, nights of waking. That's from The Lady of the Lake by Sir Walter Scott.
See, you remembered it.
I-
Good thing that you memorized it when you were in high school.
Oh, I'm just.
He wrote a lot of things,
Yes,
though, didn't he?
did.
Though? I mean, he was a very prolific writer. And lots of poetry as well. And I think that his life was very interesting. He was how many children did his mom and father have?
They had 11, and I think it was 6 out of the 11 that died. But he was born in Edinburgh, but he went to live with his grandma for a little while. His father was a lawyer, and his mother was the daughter of a physician. So Sir Walter Scott then went to school, Edinburgh, and then he went to the bar.
What bar? Oh,
bar.
he became a
He became a
barrister.
barrister. Yes, he did become a barrister.
Okay, all right.
And then
lawyer.
and then he got married, and they had 5 children. But he was so tremendously successful that there were many that copied from his works, like Fenimore Cooper, the writes all the Western stories and stuff, and Alexander Dumas. They took the ideas of Sir Walter Scott and incorporated them in their own writings. Ain't that interesting?
That is very interesting. Yeah, we're going through the libraries now here, and he had 2 great rooms. One was library and another bigger room that had so many of the writings there. And this is a reading desk. Now, he must have stood up to read here.
Well,
When you put the book there and then stand up to read or sit down. I'm not sure which way.
There was
they did
something
that.
very interesting about him. This was his estate, but he bought into a printing company that went broke, and so he had to really work hard and write and write and write. And he wrote so prolifically that he had to have 2 desks. And he had all these stories going at one time.
Yeah.
So he wrote from each desk different stories in order to pay
You mean he
back
had 2
to-
things going at once?
Yes.
Boy,
that's how
great.
that's how really prolific his writings were. And then he paid off the debts, and it's in today's. It would have been like. It was 130 pounds, but millions and millions of today. But it destroyed his health.
Mm-hmm.
It really did destroy.
Well, here's
his
some of,
health.
and we can see some of the books that he had here, and there you go, Lady of the
Lady
Lake,
of
right
the
there.
Lake. That's
yeah,
the really
yeah,
famous
that's your
one.
famous, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I think that's
favorite.
really the reading for all high school. Or it used to be. I don't
Used
know
to
what
be.
they
I
do
don't know if it
today,
is any
but
longer or not.
but in my time we had to. That was a required reading and memorization for our
Mm-hmm.
dramatic class.
Well, I'll tell you, we had a wonderful time visiting here. And you know, what I like about it, it's sort of off the beaten path. And so you're not going to get tons and tons of visitors that are here. But and look in his, I would call this a den, Betty. I'm not quite sure what you call it, but I mean, look at the
I think
collection
it's
of things that are
gross.
here.
I think it's gross.
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
All those things in.
Yeah,
Oh Lordy,
look at that.
oh,
Oh, it's great.
it's a little crowded.
Well, yeah, it's true. It is a little
I mean,
crowded. Who knows? He may have had another warehouse full of stuff
I would
too.
imagine he did, and I guess really they're all have historical value, and they should be shown.
Yeah, it should be,
But
and it really is beautiful. They were doing some repair work the day that we were here too, and it was a little bit windy and a little cool. So we decided that it would be nice to have a nice warm cup of tea. And so they have built a little addition, and it's not right. It's on the grounds, but it's not right in the manor house itself. They built a little tea room there. But look at the Betty. I love the countryside. Look
It's
at this.
beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
I can imagine you looking forward to having a nice hot cup of tea.
Listen, on
You
a
are
cold
a coffee person.
Yeah, I
though.
know. And the guy. Well, I did have a cup of coffee. Okay.
That's
Most
more,
everybody
you
else
know,
wanted to.
That's more. Well, tea is the thing to do. When
Well, of
you're
course, yeah.
when you're over
High
there.
tea.
But high tea.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, that wasn't high.
No,
That was
that's
just
for sure.
Plain ordinary
Just
tea.
plain ordinary
Yeah,
tea. Anyway, this was Abbotsford, and it's well worth the visit. So, and look here on the grounds. You look at
Yeah,
beautiful horse.
yeah,
Oh, that is
yeah.
just really nice. Anyway, we are going to get back in the bus, and we're going to travel down towards the border to England, and we're going to listen to our guide first.
To the wall on the right-hand side, house standing by itself in the gardens, is the house in which Mary Queen of Scots stayed and almost died. On the right-hand side now. The abbey that was partially ruined by the armies that came north to try and persuade the Scots to allow the betrothal of their little queen to Edward in England is just coming up on the right. You get the best view of it looking back. There we are. Looking a little the worse for wear, I'd say.
Well, it seems though Mary Queen of Scots was figured very, very heavily in this entire area, doesn't it, Betty?
Hey, yeah, and the women, had quite prominent, weren't they? One way
She
or
was.
the other in those days. Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. Now,
she
what are those
certainly
trees?
was beautiful. I think the countryside here is very pastoral, and then you get into the wooded area, and it is really a joy to travel and see all this beauty.
Okay, that's the capon tree on the right now, the hanging tree, very big old tree, held up now by wooden posts.
Well, we just saw the hanging tree, and now you're going to see the border. We've just now crossed into England, and Scotland's on the other side. And Betty, as we get into this particular part of England, of course, in the west and part of the north, there's a lot of industrial area, but there's still an awful lot of pastoral area that we can see here. And I just love this. This countryside is so wonderful.
And for anybody interested in history or sort of more cultural things, the book has a 2,000-year history, a lot of which is on display. So let's start with its history. It was founded as a Roman legionary fortress, one of the 3 fortresses that were established with which to hold Britain after the invasion. It was called Eboracum, a town developed alongside the fortress. It had the distinction of being the place where in the early 4th century Constantine was declared emperor of the Roman Empire.
Betty, these roundabouts are, peculiar to Europe, of course, and they get a little confusing, especially if you've never driven there before.
Missionaries arrived in the north of Britain from Ireland, and they established their main church at York. So from about the 7th century onwards, the church in York was the leading church of the north of England, and next to Canterbury, which is in the south, it remains one of the 2 leading churches in England, and it has an archbishop who ranks only just a fraction of an inch lower than the Archbishop of Canterbury in the church hierarchy.
Well, there is the city wall of the old city of York. And I know, Betty, this is one of your favorite places, as it is mine too, because there's so much to see in the old city of York. This is a medieval city that has stayed in good repair. And it's a wonderful place, for shoppers, number one. It's a wonderful place if you want to see history. You can go on a walking tour by yourself. You don't even need a guide to go around the city here. I mean, there's so much that is self-explanatory. And so our guide's going to hand out some maps. She takes us around, and in fact, in the next show, we're going to take you to some very interesting places here in the city of York. We're staying at a wonderful hotel that's right on the water. It's the Moat House, and they also had some wonderful food there. We had a great time staying at the Moat House, and we are inside the city walls. The time before, we stayed outside the city walls. But either way, you're able to just do a wonderful walking tour and enjoy this magnificent little city. It's just beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, it's time for us to say goodbye. We'll see you next time, but if you want to find out about our trips, give Betty a call at
5594-887443.
Bye.
Bye.